Have you been feeling like the world you once trusted is starting not to make sense? Like the beliefs that you were raised in, the systems that you were once told to trust, the way that you understood reality, it's all starting to feel incomplete, as if there's something more that's been hidden. There is a name in mystical worlds for this moment, and it's called the Sophia Phase. Now, the Sophia Phase is not a formal psychological term yet, but it does often show up in spiritual awakening conversations. To understand what this means, we have to start with Sophia herself. In ancient Gnostic traditions, particularly texts discovered in the Nag Hammadi library, the word Sophia means wisdom. But Sophia is not just knowledge. She represents wisdom that is gained through experience, through struggle, and through awakening. In Gnostic myth, Sophia steps out of divine harmony, searching for a deeper understanding. She's curious. And in that search, in that curiosity, confusion and distortion enter the world. But the story doesn't end there. Sophia eventually awakens to what's happened. She realizes that by stepping out of harmony, she has created disharmony and imbalance. And so she begins the process returning to balance, returning to sacred union, returning to harmony. And because of this, many spiritual teachers see that Sophia's story is a mirror for the human awakening journey. The Sophia phase is the moment when a person begins to wake up from inherited beliefs and then start to search for truth directly. This is often when people begin to question the systems that they were raised in. They may think, something about what I was taught doesn't fully make sense anymore. There seems to be more to the story than I've been told. Things are just not adding up for me, and I can't ignore it any longer. Even more, they may question their religious beliefs. They may think, what type of God would allow violence and oppression and enslavement and suffering? Why would this be allowed on our planet? People in the Sophia phase often begin questioning religion, culture, institutions, and/or authority. And this questioning is not necessarily out of rebellion, but out of a genuine hunger for truth. Along with this questioning comes a powerful desire to understand life more deeply. Many people begin studying ancient traditions, mysticism, symbolism, and consciousness. There's a nudging to do some shadow work or delve into inquiries that may have once felt too far-fetched. Things like, is it possible that human consciousness didn't originate here on our planet, but arrived from elsewhere? Could it be that there's entire ecosystems and civilizations hidden beneath the Earth's surface? What if mythology is memory and not fiction? Is it possible that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than what we've been taught? Could the body itself be a technology that we're only beginning to understand? In this phase, it's realizing that wisdom may not come from external authority, but from something deeper within. Therefore, the Sophia phase marks a shift from external authority into inner knowing, from being told what is truth to beginning to discover it for yourself. Now note, this stage of awakening is not always comfortable. Emotionally, the Sophia phase can feel like a loss of innocence. You may realize that systems that you once trusted are completely flawed. You may feel temporarily disoriented or frustrated or even rebellious. This is a time when old identities begin to fall away. And so sometimes the process can bring grief or disillusionment. In psychology, experiences like this can resemble what Carl Jung called individuation. Others might describe it as a spiritual awakening crisis, or even a major identity transformation, which essentially all of these are ego deaths. And ego deaths in mystical traditions are seen as wisdom awakening through experience. And during this phase, people often feel like the veil has lifted. They may notice a deep hunger for truth, a loss of interest in the superficial systems, a growing intuition that reality is far more complex than they once believed. Sophia is also associated with what many traditions call the sacred feminine, and not feminine in a sense of gender, but in a way of knowing. Sophia's intelligence is intuitive and experiential and embodied and relational. It's not relied on imposed authority. Again, this is a shift from authority outside of you to the wisdom inside of you. Many people begin to experience energy differently, like heightened intuition or emotional purification, or even increased sensitivity to truth versus illusion. A person may find that they're now a seeker of gnosis, of direct knowing, and the willingness to stumble through experiences like this works and this doesn't work, to better tune in to that inner knowing. The Sophia phase can feel lonely because it may include a period of separation. The old worldview is no longer fitting and the new one has not fully formed. So you may feel disconnected from old communities or misunderstood by the people around you. It can feel like you're standing between two worlds. Many mystics describe this stage as the wandering in the wilderness. And interestingly, this mirrors the archetypal journey of Yeshua, who undergoes a wilderness initiation before beginning his teaching. So note that the Sophia phase is not the end of a journey. It's actually the beginning of a deeper path that brings you into the next stage of embodiment. Instead of searching for truth, you start embodying it and how you think and how you act and how you show up in the world. Some traditions call this Christ consciousness, logos embodiment, or inner sovereignty. So to rewind for a moment, first comes the innocence, or maybe a little ignorant phase, where we live inside the inherited systems. And then comes the Sophia phase, where we begin to awaken and begin seeking wisdom. And then eventually comes the embodiment phase, where that wisdom becomes part of how we live. Many spiritual thinkers believe that humanity as a whole may be currently moving into or through the collective Sophia phase. If you look around you, you will see that institutions are being questioned. Ancient wisdom traditions are resurfacing. And more people are looking inward for truth rather than outward. The outer world is actually feeling more orchestrated and fake, thus pushing people to go inward to what is pure and true. And this is why practices that support awakening and integration becomes so important during the Sophia phase. Because when your awareness begins to expand, it doesn't just happen in the mind. It happens in the body, in the nervous system, and in the emotional landscape of your life. It's necessary to cleanse your inner space so as old patterns begin to surface and the questions begin to arise, these channels of perception are open. And this is one of the reasons practices like quantum healing yoga can be so powerful during this stage. Through breath and movement and awareness, the practice helps to dissolve some of the fears and the tensions and the uncertainties that can arise during awakening. When people gather in a shared space of practice, something powerful begins to unfold. Questions that once felt isolating, they become the shared experiences. Insights begin to surface, and the journey of awakening becomes something that is actually supported by the community rather than feeling you have to navigate it alone. Remember, the Sophia phase does not have to be a solitary journey. Wisdom awakens in individuals, but it stabilizes in community. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being the collective light on the planet. I look forward to seeing you on the mat soon. Satnam. Satnam, 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 Vaheguru.